What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 2 Times the Grind. It is episode 43, and I just want to start off by saying apologies for no podcast last week. Honestly, the days just kind of really caught up to us leading up to the event, and before we knew it, we were basically leaving, and we were like, oh shit, we haven't done a podcast. So apologies for that, but what I will say is if you were tuning into the broadcast, I did give with the lads a full explanation on all the storylines that you can be expecting from the event. So hopefully that kind of tied you over for what to expect coming into that LAN.
It's tough because we have to record obviously much before we leave. Mm-hmm. We leave now on Wednesdays. Used to leave Thursday. Excuse me.
Sorry, everyone, by the way. So we are doing this podcast because obviously we want to bring you something, but PJ is sick.
Yep, post-event sickness.
So you're probably going to hear a lot of coughing. This is like a warning now, folks who are germaphobes or do not want to listen to somebody spluttering and coughing their lungs out in this episode and podcast, then please turn away now and we'll see you next week. But if you do want to stick with us through the PJ sickness,
you try to cut the audio on my mic too.
Yeah, I'll definitely try to, but it picks up in my mic, so okay. It's almost impossible.
Don't worry, people. I'll try to step away.
He's gonna try and hold it together.
I was just gonna say we leave earlier for the events now than we used to, so it's a little bit more complicated. We don't have Wednesday to record. We have to record by Tuesday. Tuesday we got to pack.
Yeah,
a bunch. You got to pack because I'm spoiled, and you pack for me.
This is true.
I am practicing. I am working. To be fair, most of the day.
No, you are. You are. Like, it's funny, now we're doing a podcast and I have my headphones in, I can hear your chest.
Yeah.
I can hear how sick you are in your chest.
Oh yeah. It's great.
I can hear every breath, it's like a struggle.
You can tell I don't sound like myself.
Poor babe, yeah. Poor babe. To be fair, my voice is going, but I'm not sick, which, is obviously a luxury.
That's the first thing I've done today. I just got out of bed.
I know. Honestly, does anyone else feel this way when you get sick? Like, when I'm sick, I think to myself, damn, I take every day that I can breathe painlessly and effortlessly for granted, because when you're lying in bed and you can't sleep because every breath you take stings, every breath you take makes you want to cough and all that stuff, I always think to myself, damn, I wish I could just go back and be like, I'm so grateful for being able to breathe and go to sleep without a problem, because when you're sick it sucks.
I think everybody does.
Do you think so? Everyone thinks that?
I think even if you, because and the reason I say that is because I think that I even try to not take it for granted, because I've obviously been sick a lot in my life. It's just my immune system, and I don't go into my life story here about my health and all that stuff, but I haven't had the best health really until I was late teens, kind of 18 years old is when I kind of started having a better immune system, and I stopped getting sick all the time and stuff like that. But so obviously with how sick I was as a kid, I feel like I probably do appreciate it, but I don't think you can ever actually appreciate it the way that you should. Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. It's kind of crazy, actually, how when Peach gets sick, he gets really sick, guys. Really, really sick usually. Usually doctor's visits, steroids, all sorts of stuff. It usually gets really bad. So cross your fingers for him, hoping that he can weather the storm. Poor baby.
I'm just intense no matter what. Doesn't matter.
Always having to.
Yeah, I'm just competing.
Ice up, I know. Always competing, whether it's
me versus
Halo
my body
or frickin' germs. It doesn't matter who it is. It's someone. Someone's trying to come out to get you. Anyway, beginning things off, you're probably wondering, hey guys, you guys haven't tried coffee in freaking ages. I know we haven't. We've been so busy that we've almost not been able to go out and get a bag of coffee. How embarrassing.
Not new ones. We have all
the
old
ones.
But
Basically we haven't been able to go and venture out and get a new bag of coffee. Although I do have a bag that I have set my eyes on, which I will be picking up hopefully next week for the next week's episode. But right now, Peach and I have Wawa coffees, and I will give you a rundown of what I got. I have 16-ounce Wawa coffee, hot, even though it's warm out, because I'm a weirdo. I filled half of it up with the French vanilla cappuccino via the machine. And then I always take it out at the last second before the water starts really pouring in. You can see the difference between the actually good stuff, the good stuff, and the water. So I whip it away, right? And then I went over to the Colombian roast coffee, which is just like the regular like coffee, you know, watery coffee. Then I fill it the rest of the way up, and then a splash of French vanilla creamer. That's my Wawa go-to.
I can't believe you just gave a breakdown of what you got from
Hey,
Wawa. We've had this coffee more times than I can count.
I'm trying to give the people what they want. You know
That's
what I mean?
fair.
That's my coffee order from
That's fair.
Wawa. I love it.
I respect it.
I love that. And PJ went for a large iced coffee today.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Just
Do you put
regular
Irish cream in it or no?
hazelnut.
Hazelnut
Just
creamer.
a little sweetness to it. It's
Love
pretty
that.
sweet already though.
Does it
Like
kick
when you
in?
have a regular one. Yeah, it's very good. It
Bussin'?
doesn't really feel. It doesn't really. It's not like a strong coffee. It's more of like almost as like more of like a sweet treat, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I went with a large ice because of obviously my throat and how I feel. So
Well, you went with a large
it always
dub
slaps.
on the weekend as well. You think it's over and it's never over. I'm always hosting.
You're so corny. I
Um,
love it though.
moving on.
We had a Halo event.
Yeah, we just had a Halo event, guys. I don't know if you heard, don't know if you've seen on the Halo Infinite homepage of the game, PJ's face. I've seen it. Congrats, babe, first and foremost.
Thank you.
Freaking awesome. Back to back LAN Champs.
Back to back.
Just to begin with, does it feel different it being a major?
No.
No, same thing.
Yeah, I don't think we've reached that point yet in Halo where the events feel different.
Okay.
It's like a thing in Counter-Strike. They've done a really good job of making majors these like really big, super important. I don't know I don't know how true this is anymore. It was a thing when I followed Counter-Strike many years ago where like the majors were like the end all be all. Like I used to like pull all-nighters to watch these things. Like
right.
And I think that's kind of changed a little bit for Counter-Strike. So like I'm not trying to put them on too much of a pedestal. Obviously Counter-Strike's amazing, but I don't think we really have that this year. Obviously I understand like the title, but I wouldn't say a win feels different to the other. No.
It's interesting because I know like a few people were coming into the Global Invitational before this major with like the whole preface of, you want to win the major though. Like that's where it counts. If you're going to lose one, you lose it here. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
I think like the sentiment is there.
Yeah.
But I just don't think I think like as a player, I don't think we're like fully there yet.
No, I feel
I think that like you can recognize that.
it's more the word of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose.
It just like we didn't know the DreamHack event wasn't a major until after. We're like, oh, okay. Like, wow, we didn't even realize it. But that's how,
Trust me, I had been doing episodes saying the major. It wasn't.
It felt like, and the other thing too is like it felt like a major because like we obviously had like so many months off.
Mm-hmm.
So then like, maybe one day we'll get there. I do think it's good that people say it because like it should be a thing that's talked about, I guess, or not talked about, but like it's cool that it's acknowledged. But yeah, I just don't think we're fully there yet to where like majors are the end all be all and all the other stuff is like second tier. It feels like everything is like literally as important as the next, Yeah,
no, that makes sense. When you won, you touched the trophy this time.
I did.
So like I'm sure there's a few people wondering why you didn't touch the trophy last time, why you touch it this time, or like aka celebrate the win on the stage to the absolute extent that you possibly can, because I know that your team gets shit for this all the time. But
are we talking about that in this episode?
Yeah. I mean, what? So that like we'll start off because then we'll dive into the actual games. But we'll start off with like we're kind of going backwards this time because why not?
Go from the dub and then
why did this feel more monumental if it doesn't have much of a difference in terms of a major and the Global Invitational in terms of your head for that? Why would you not hold the trophy last time compared to this time?
Honestly, I don't know if I would have held the trophy again this time, but like a lot of people like made a lot of comments to me about it. So I was kind of like aware that people like recognized that I didn't. So then like when Matt asked me like, do you want to see it? And I was like, all right, like sure, like because like last time I didn't, but I didn't think last time I didn't think anything of it. This time I was like, it was in my mind like, oh, people are gonna say something again if I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like a thing with me. I'm just really set on Worlds. that's like the big one for me. If there's one thing that HCS has done, it's like I feel like Worlds is obviously, and Worlds is like the end all be all in some capacity. Obviously, it's not. You want to win everything, but you do want to win the last one,
Yeah.
And winning the Invitational, the event before, just felt very close. Just a lot of game fives. Like I was really proud of the team for the fight that we had. This is obviously going back to the DreamHack event, not this past event, but the DreamHack event that we had won back in June. I was really proud of the team and I was really proud of the fight, but I wasn't necessarily happy with our performance. I was like,
okay,
we went game 5 with Native White, and we went game 5 with Hive being down 2-0, and then we went game 5 in the winners finals, and then we went game 7 down 3-1. Like there's just a lot of stuff that I was like, I just feel like stressed about, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Like we win it and it's like, I just know we have a lot to do. That's the easiest way I can explain it is like, when we won the first one, it felt really, really close, felt like too close for comfort. And it felt like, wow, like we have a long way to go and we have a really short amount of time. So I'm not good at separating. Like, I just know we have an event in 3 weeks. Right. Like we win and like, I like fist bump my team and like literally in my mind, I'm like, wow, we got a lot to do, you know? Yeah. And that's, it's a bittersweet kind of mentality because I don't get to probably enjoy competing as much as other people. Other people jump for joy and, feel really happy when they win. I do in some ways, but in other ways, I'm just, I've told the story before. We won Worlds back in 2016 and they announced like right after we had won, they had announced that like Pro League was starting. Like, it was like this new thing. And I remember like literally, I'm not joking, like literally on the stage in my head, I was like, oh shit, like, wow, okay, like we got to go do that now, And it's like, that's just how my mind works. Yeah.
I think this is a really interesting topic because I think a lot of people your entire career have criticized this, and it's going back to the point of the trophy and celebrations and excitement. A lot of people have criticized the way that you act, or it's not just you, your team acts after you win. And it's funny because we actually already had this conversation together. Excuse me for kicking the table there, folks.
You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. Just kick. Just honestly, this table's just been pissing me off, so I just thought I'd just kick it. A lot of people criticize the way that you guys celebrate or don't celebrate throughout your whole careers, considering how decorated of a team you are and players that you are. And we already had this conversation in the car, and it was interesting to hear what you said about it, because for me, I am very opposite to you. Yeah. Like, I'm jumping for joy, right? Like, I'm jumping for joy. I'm getting loud. I'm getting excited.
You even said it to me, too. You're like, you could, like, crack a smile. Like,
I say even just smile. You know what I mean? Like, just even smile or something. But actually, I think the fact that your teammates are funny and they make you laugh is good, because I do see you crack a smile up there, because they're making you laugh. You're not I know you. You're not necessarily smiling because you won. You're smiling because they're saying something funny and dumb. And it's like, that's what's making you smile. So thank God in the pictures you're smiling and stuff, because otherwise, like, God help us. Like, we'd be the villains. You know,
I cracked up. I won't say what I said because it's just jinx worthy. But I think Blaze like made a comment about us going back to back, and I made a comment. It wasn't anything bad. Just so there's no drama to it. It's just a superstition thing. And I said something. Basically, I said something to the team about like going for the next one kind of deal. And like my whole team, they know how I am. Like, I'm like, oh, knock on. I say it all the time. Like, knock on wood. Yeah. So like, there'll probably be a picture of us. Like John, I said it. Like, he made my comment, and he goes. Everyone said knock on. Like right away, everyone was knock on wood, and we all go and
knock
and
the pedestal.
That's what. I think my mom said something to me about it.
Yeah, in your chat.
Yeah, and. Yeah, like that, like cracked me. I started laughing.
I actually love that. I really do hope there's a picture of that or something, or at least imagine the FaZe content team caught that on camera. That'd be so cool. But yeah, so obviously going back into all of your whole career, basically, like just lack of celebration and lack of emotion once you've won. And you put it really well. So I don't know if you can remember what you said to me, but why is it that you guys don't celebrate? Especially in the moment, there is no emotion there. Like, how as human beings, winning something that you work your whole life for, like your whole life is surrounded by this thing, and you manage to do it. You go and do what you set out to do. How is it that you can contain yourself to the point where, like, people are like, damn, they don't care. You know what I mean?
What did I like? Okay, so like this, it'd be easier. This is an easier way to put it. Is like, what did I say to you? Say what I said to you, and then I can explain.
Okay.
It a little bit better because I don't want to take up too much time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
This is kind of what you said, and you have to, like, obviously if I'm messing this up, you've got to just tell me, okay? But it basically comes down to the fact that it's like the mindset that you have and emotionally in these situations has to almost be cut off, because if you're so invested emotionally into something, it sometimes gets the better of you. So when you're competing on stage, being calm, icy, almost like tuning your feelings out, gets those moments to become more of like a less high pressure situation, because you're nice and calm and collected, rather than somebody who's popping off and going crazy with everything that they're doing, because they're so riled up that actually they might not think straight or in the necessary way to actually win. So like, people question like, oh my God, how are they so icy? How do they clutch up in these moments? They're 2-0 down, but they still manage to win. And well, you do so because you're always calm. You cut your emotions off from... you try to cut your emotions off from the product so that you can actually get it done. Yeah.
I mean, that's like spot on. That's what I said. Okay. It's just, I do think there's a part of it that's personality. I'm not someone who jumps for joy and screams. I'm just not. Like, it's not me. Yeah. Most usually get is like a smile and like you could tell, a little fist bump, like you could tell like it meant something. You know, about the only thing I'm sappy with is like you and the dogs. That's about the only thing that like, you can like really see. Like there's a more of a personal side. When it comes to gaming and competing, I've always tried to take the emotion out of it. I think that's what I try to take emotion out of it so I can continue to have the best thought process possible, to lead the best that I can, to speak the best that I can, to perform the best that I can. I think that when you're super emotional, and this is just from my standpoint of it, I don't think it's a bad thing to be a different way. It's just me, it's a perfect way I can explain it. It's like when I scrim at home, right? I can get really annoyed playing the game online, right? Yeah. And when I do that, I can make really bad decisions.
100%.
Like, that's just me.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean everyone does that. Some people play better when they're mad. I don't, right?
That's so funny, because I play better, like, not video games. When I play lacrosse, my dad would say this. I'd play better when I was pissed off or mad. I would be like as if I unlocked some type of friggin' special. You know what I mean? My special ability was charged up and I just pressed it.
I do, in the sense that like when people like shoot my body and stuff like that, like
hell no.
Like it makes me more competitive, but it doesn't make me mad. Does that make sense? Like there's a big difference between that. I just feel like for me, it's something I've always done to try to just be clear, and like I said, I don't think it's necessarily the best thing. I don't think everyone's got to do it. It very much goes with my personality. There's two other things that I think I mentioned to you, and one of them is, and look, I don't mean this in a braggy way. It's just been kind of my career now, is that it's what's expected. Right. So like, I think when you're really expected to do it, I just haven't really, I can't. I think 2012, I think my first one was probably the only one that I wasn't like expected to win it. And even that, we were still predicted to win. And by the way, I don't mean that as in like we're expected to win every single one. It's like when we're in a finals, people are expecting something of us. Right. Yeah. That's not what I mean. I don't mean it in like a super...
No, I know exactly what you mean, because actually somebody across the weekend, and I feel really terrible. I can't remember who it was that said this to me, but somebody said, I can't imagine the feeling or the pressure that the like top teams are under, because like climbing up the placements is not a cause for concern for you guys. You go to a tournament to expect to win. Yeah. And like that is the only focus that you, OpTic and SSG at this moment in time have. Like, and I say that in respect to other teams, because I know like Native Red, who plays top 4 at the Global Invitational, would have gone into the tournament expecting to win. But I'm talking about teams who have done it. Yeah. And who place consistently top 3. But like that expectation is so difficult.
Yeah, and that's an easier way to put it, of not like, oh, I'm expected to win every time I go. It's just that like we're at the stage in our careers now where, like I said, it's winner you've lost.
100%.
You know, and there's a point in time in my career and everyone's career where that's not. It's like you can get top 6 and like that's really great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like no longer is that the case. So there's just, you know, that's the other side of it where it's like it's very much like win or you lost.
Yeah.
And I think that you have to be somewhat, you know, that's just how I deal with it. You know, you have to like cut out the emotion of like, hey, this is my job. This is what I got to go do. The other thing that I said to you is that I feel like if it wasn't such a long weekend, reactions would be different.
Right,
you know,
right.
like I think the thing that I struggle with is like you roll up on a Sunday, a championship Sunday. You already competed for 2 days, 3 days. You know, it's like you're so locked in. Like for me, competing is taking like all of my energy. You know, like to have external reactions and jumping up and down, like
It's
again,
almost like a relief, rather than like it's like I can breathe now.
Yeah,
the job's
that's
done.
what it feels like. It's like, okay, wow, you see it, like we finish and I'm like, man, like
you beat.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I'm beat. I'm done here. Like, you know, let's go home. You know.
Yeah.
I feel like Lot and I were talking about it, and I was talking about like the NBA. You know, obviously you reference it to a lot of sports, but I think I said the NBA. And it's like I feel like if it was just like one game, like hey, you play a team slayer, and if you win it, like you're up 1-0, and then like you don't play for 2 days. I feel like if I won it, I feel like I'd be like let's go, like yeah, like I'd be really excited and really happy. But because there's such long days for such a long period of time, like it takes me a couple hours
exactly
to snap out of. It takes me you've seen it plenty of times.
It's such a valid point as well, because also throughout the 3 days, like you might be thinking like, okay, but you only play like 3 series in a day. Okay, but the difference is those series can come out of nowhere. You have to be like, they all have to be locked in between those series too.
Yeah.
Like you won't catch them off a side station making sure that they're still practicing staying warm, because if you are caught off guard and you're cold and you go up for a series and you mess up, like you mess up and that's on you. The fact that you have to be warm and ready to go every single moment of a day across a weekend, like you're right, it's extremely tiring.
Especially with me personally, like it's just not. It's I'm not good. I can't do
you
that.
Can't be
I don't
cold.
just I don't disconnect. I don't go see people.
Dude, you never disconnect. Like we're in the hotel room. You're watching VOD back.
Yeah.
You're it does not stop. I go to sleep every single night and wake up to your phone playing Halo. Like it's it is, the VOD is on all the time at dinner. I mean, the boys see it, like, you know, Shorzy was telling us, like even post event the VOD is on. The VOD is on consistently all the time. Like it is just, that's what we live with. I love it. Like I live for it and I love that. But for you, like it just doesn't turn off. And like I think that's what people don't really recognize, especially with the celebrations, is that like your brain still at that point hasn't turned off yet either. Like you're just thinking about the next thing, because like to you it really is just like, this is my purpose, and if I don't achieve what I've set out to achieve with the team the whole year, then this is pointless. This was pointless, you know. I think a lot of people are like, but celebrate in the moment, live in the moment. Like that's not how you have a career like you've had, I personally think.
Yeah, I mean, like I think that you can have a career like I have, and I think you can have a long-lasting success. It's just everyone's different, and from my perspective, it's just been my path. You know, like very very simply put, that's been my path. That's what led me to be who I am. Sometimes, you know, I love it because I love competing and I want to do it for as long as I can, and you know, hopefully I can continue until I'm basically like done with it on my own terms. And there are parts of it, like, look, and you know this, there are parts of it that suck. Like, you know, we had the Snake Pit. I got to give a huge shout out to the Snake Pit who came out.
Oh my God, I love them.
Unbelievable people. Like, we have such an awesome community. So many 2 Times the Grind listeners, obviously a part of the Snake Pit. And it's like, I wish I could be that person who like goes out to dinner, like, you know, like hits talks to the community, you know, our community.
To be fair, babe, like it's, unless like the Snake Pit were here like on a Wednesday.
But that's what I mean, though.
We could do it then.
But there are other people and even other players that would go out to dinner on a Friday. You know what I mean? But
this is the thing. This is the like, and this is the problem, is like, we would like, of course we would love to do that. Like hit us up on a Wednesday, we're coming through. Yeah. Right. But like on a Friday,
I'm not even good on a Wednesday. I'm not.
You're still there. But like even on a Friday night, tournament night, you guys are going over VOD like for hours, and like it just is not the best time. And like this is the problem, is all the hard, like people, and I think the Snake Pit do realize this.
Oh no, everyone is unbelievably
but, like
kind
all the
about
hard
it.
work that you put in weeks and weeks out, day in, day out, hours, every single day of your life that I don't, like, I'm in the same house as you, but I don't actually get to interact with you because you're working so damn hard.
Yeah.
That goes into that weekend.
Yeah.
That weekend is where it shows.
Yeah.
So like you slip up or you do something that is not making you super comfortable as a competitor. At the end of the day, you're almost like an athlete. You need to have everything in order. You know, like your minds work differently. Like it just makes sense for it to make sense to you. And it has to make sense.
It's made me being that way. And I'll say this to like close it out. First of all, I have to thank everyone from the Snake Pit because we already said they're literally the best. But it's not. No one's like pressuring me about it. Like everyone knows how I am. Everyone knows.
I know what you mean. You just
I beat myself up over where I'm like, oh dude, like people are so nice. I wish I could. The other thing with being the way that I am is just that like it's made me accept like, look, you're not going to win every one that you compete in. At the end of the day, you're not going to win every tournament. It's impossible. It is borderline impossible. At some point, whether you win a whole season, the next season, good luck. You know.
Yeah.
It's made me accept, it's a failure when you lose. It's made me accept that a lot easier. Like I gave it everything I could. It didn't work out. Like, let's go next. Yeah. But what used to happen when I was younger is like I would go through a weekend and it just didn't feel like a job. It just felt like I was just having fun. And like we would lose and like, I don't know. I had this like irky feeling of like just I could do so much more, and it was like it wasn't until I was a little bit older, probably towards the end of like H2A, where I was like I have a lot more to give, and that's when it it
hit home.
And it hit home, and now we're here.
Let's talk about some of the moments, like some of the games. Like let's run through it. Some other teams as well. We'll start with you guys because obviously we're talking about your win. Was there a moment in time in the weekend where you were thinking to yourself like this is like we're on point? Was it getting through pool play, the fact that you guys always have a really cold start and sometimes it gets a bit dicey, and the fact that you guys went through pool play pretty cleanly and you guys started off really strong, and that's not really natural to you guys sometimes need a little bit of an alarm clock.
We slip up. I thought starting on Friday we had a very big a big talk, for lack of better terms, of basically saying like, hey, look, we got the pool of death, we got Sen, we got Quadrant, we got to come in here ready to play. That's a really tough group. Obviously the standings go and prove that, or show that, but heading into it, we knew it was going to be a battle, so we knew we didn't really have the luxury of coming in and kind of, you don't get a warm-up series, you don't get to like play an amateur team first and get your settings dialed in. It's like, no, you got to be ready to go as soon as you show up. And the other thing to note too was that I thought both game ones of those series benefited the other team. Like I think Sen having, like when we played Sentinels, I think they're really good on Pit CTF. Like they're really, really good at it. So I think like beating them on it was like, all right, like we're really coming to play.
The new Halo fans, it's Empyrean.
Yeah, there you go. And then we lost game one to Quadrant. It's how good that they are on Strongholds. We lost game one, but we put up like 200 points.
Tell you what, though, that climb back, I was freaking out.
If we didn't have
I was like, oh, shit.
If we didn't have a bad start, like I think we could have beat them all.
You 100% could have beat
them.
We
just
had a really bad start.
We were down like 170-0, but then we ripped like 200 points right away. But it was like, obviously we're like sitting there, we lose, and we're just like, hey, we put up 200 though, like
so
we're
like you're vibing off that.
So we're like, we're chilling. We almost lost game 2 though, so it almost wasn't a vibe. So Friday we just came really prepared. I thought Saturday was a little bit of like I thought we played really well against Cloud9. Round 1 we played really well against Cole. Round 2 I thought we played really solid against Cloud9, but I wouldn't say we played like our best, A
little bit of regression.
It was like
couple of lands.
You could just see it. Like games 1, 3, and 4 were all really good, but I think we won game 1 pretty handedly. And then game 2, you could just see I think we just lost that track of mind. Something that's happened to us in the past. And but the good thing is we locked right back in. And closed out that series 3-1.
Heading into the winners finals, how did you guys approach that with Space Station? Because obviously they have been your biggest competition. I mean, you haven't really played OpTic for a hot minute, to be honest. So like, obviously OpTic just hasn't made it. We'll talk about them shortly, but they haven't made it far enough to see you guys.
It's been the past 2 events,
Yeah, and there's obviously a lot of chatter about that as well. However, the facts are facts. They haven't made it far enough, unfortunately. So, it is what it is. Space Station matching up with you guys very, very handedly and very well. They always seem to be a serious fight for you.
Yeah.
And you can see that, like, you guys are having to dig deep to really come up with something special against them. Winners final heading into it, like how are you feeling with the team? Like, what's being said before? How are you guys handling that? Because I do feel like it is a completely different tier from the other teams. I think the second you step onto that stage against Space Station, a whole different game is being played of Halo Infinite. Like, it's just a completely different experience. I think even for viewers watching it, some of the best Halo we've ever seen, like ever. Period.
I think you just know the level that you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Like when you see OpTic or SSG or us, like I just think there's a level that that there is. You know, OpTic obviously didn't make it to Sunday. Like you said, we'll talk about them, but like they are very much included in that. That like that you're getting like a high level Halo. Other teams, it's not taking away from other teams, but it's like there's just a little more of that inconsistency. I don't know if you would agree. Would you say the same thing? Like other teams obviously have the same high level, it just hasn't been as consistent.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like Quadrant's a perfect example. Like
definitely.
unbelievably, their ceiling is so high.
Yes,
but then like they lost to last event. They lost to Native Red with their sub at the time, who was Boom. Yeah, not taking away from Boom, but
I just think that I think this is the best way I can describe the difference. I think, apart from SSG and you guys at the moment, because OpTic, I would have said this before, but at the moment they're just not quite the same team yet, and I think they're just going to take a little bit of time in revamping.
I'd still put them there.
Yeah, but this is what I still think they're our top 3, our big 3. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
But in terms of the Halo play, like SSG doesn't slip up. Yeah. They don't make mistakes. They don't slip up. They get outplayed. Same with you guys. You don't make mistakes and you don't slip up against SSG. You outplay them or they outplay you. Yeah. That's how maps are won and lost in my eyes when I'm looking at you guys. When it comes to Quadrant, losing to people like Native Red, like there are slip-ups that happen. Same with Native Red losing to Quadrant. Slip-ups that happen. Like it's more of a slip-up than like an outplay. Okay. In some ways. Interesting way to look I would say just in terms of a ratio, sometimes there are outplays, 100%. Yeah. Did Quadrant outplay OpTic at the end on that Street Slayer? Yes, they absolutely did. Great call, great push. Chick getting that pick, Legend staying low, SLG pushing when he needed to push, making something magical happen, going back tower. Just, it was a great level of play and events that occurred, and that was an outplay. But there are times where you see teams slip up. Yeah. When SSG and you head off against one another, you don't often see slip-ups. It just doesn't happen. It's just more outplays than any type of mistakes. Okay. And I think that's the big difference for me.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way to look at it. I mean, I don't think you're wrong, per se.
Yeah. That's how I see it. Yeah. I don't know if I'm even explaining it correctly.
No, I get what you mean.
I'm trying to get my point across.
I get what you mean. Yeah. I think, it's like we're just explaining the high level. The high level of Halo. SSG, they're like... Yeah, I mean they're robots. Like they're so good. They've really buttoned up. You could see it post Charlotte. When they started having the online performances going their way. You could just see the teamwork, see the coordination. Obviously we saw them beat OpTic on Saturday, and we're like, oh wow, they're lights out. They're lights out again. Yeah. Which it's funny with them because everyone knows how light. I mean, look, Eco and Stellar are making a ridiculous career for themselves. Obviously Penguin and Bound are too, but like Eco and Stellar have now been doing it since 2017. Yeah, I know. They've been doing it a long time now. Penguin as well, but Penguin he was teaming with them in 2017, then he went to Renegades for a little bit in 2018. So that's the only reason why I leave him out. He's obviously entered
the scene.
Yeah.
So I actually never knew Penguin with
he was
them,
on Liquid
strange.
And they got they didn't place below top 3 for like a really long time. Yeah. So it's like really interesting, seeing how long lasting their careers have been. But it's funny because they used to be the team. I shouldn't say they used to be, like, I don't know, like, you like think back to Worlds, like they got like upset round 1. If you go to Orlando, they lost to like United. Like they used to, I remember at Anaheim, the event that they won in Infinite when they had Renegades still on their team, they went like G5 with like Fnatic. Like they had those like similar moments of like a slip up, you know. But right now, I feel like they're playing at such a high level where they're not like they just every day are playing so well. You got to give super big credit to them.
Yeah, they are. I think like I don't know. No, this is not me being dead weird, right? This is just what I see. But I do feel like Space Station Gaming, something that is so special about them is that I don't ever see them down playing to their opponents.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like I just don't ever see them like kind of treat anybody differently.
Yeah.
They are always
this year
in the same level. I think like when I talk about, you know, how do you hit that next level of gameplay? And that's because I don't believe up until you meet people or opponents that you need to show that level of gameplay to. I don't believe that you guys do that.
Yeah.
You don't have that fully functioning.
We're trying to.
Yeah. And I know that's something that you're trying to do. For SSG, I think they just have it from the second they step into the event. Like they don't let off the gas the whole time. Like you see there was like, you may win the tournament, but did they have a cleaner bracket and a cleaner pool? Yes, they did. The new, because they just do not step off the gas. Like they treat everybody the exact same, and that's why they get cleaner results. And you guys make it a little bit harder for yourselves, but like if that's what's going to get you into that kind of grueling battle gameplay, being able to clutch up when it matters because you've had to clutch up a million times over the weekend, then that's what gets it done. But it's just interesting to see the different kind of levels of teams and what each other look like. I love how everyone is so different considering how close the competition is.
I mean, the top 6 in particular is just, I mean, really you could say the top 8. I mean, I can't even, I go top 12. I mean, Shopify got top 12. I'm sitting there going like, how, you know, the way the bracket worked out for them, they get top 12. It's like, bro, they could be top 3, you know. They look so good hanging in the tournament. Competition's just at a really, really high point right now. And to exactly what you said, SSG have probably been the most on it in terms of the past 2 events. They've been, you know, it hasn't turned up. The W hasn't happened for them, but in terms of who has looked the most prepared or the the cleanest
they just have a different approach to their opponents. And I think, but like again, it's like the results speak for themselves, right? It's like, you know, it doesn't necessarily get you a tournament. It might do at some point.
Get some close.
But like it does, you know, it's just different approaches. And I just find it very fascinating, like how the different approaches are. Let's talk about them. The OpTic boys. Because I think there's a lot of Green Wall fans like coming into that major.
Do you want to talk about anything else to do with the finals before we dive into it?
Well, we'll come back to it because I have a point to finish off the episode, which is something to do with the finals.
Okay.
But let's talk about the OpTic boys because I think there's going to be a lot of Greenwall fans who will be listening to the podcast. I love that we have Greenwall fans that listen. I love that we have fans of every single team, not just your team, listening to the podcast. That makes me so happy because this is what I want.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a lot that are very disappointed with the result of the major, especially their own major. From your perspective, obviously you're not playing, but you're watching a lot of VOD, like in preparation. I know that you're watching their games. I know that you're watching their games back in the evenings in case you're going to be facing them.
Yeah.
Have you noticed anything in particular about OpTic that has been an issue for them, that they don't look a certain way or similar to what they did last time? Do you think it's necessarily, not necessarily a problem, but more that other teams are catching up and things are shifting and people are learning and adapting?
I really haven't seen any issues. You know, I obviously won't comment too much on it because, like, I'm a player.
Yeah.
But truthfully, when people come in my chat and they try saying like super negative things about them, I'm like, you guys are crazy. Like, they're so good. You know, it's just the way these things roll out sometimes. You know, like we've been saying every single episode, the competition is at like an all-time high. You have so many rosters that are able to compete for wins right now. You know, does it, obviously if you're a fan of a team, does it suck when your team isn't making it into the final? Like, of course, but does that mean that there's something catastrophically wrong? No, it could be the smallest of things, you know, and usually there's small things that like we're not really gonna know. Like I'm not gonna know what they feel. You know what I mean? Like I'm not on the team. I don't know what they might think as to what is causing those losses, you know? I usually just credit the other team. Like SSG's been playing lights out, Quadrant been playing lights out. As dumb as it sounds, like if anyone loses to any of these guys, like any of the top teams right now, I'm not really like, oh wow, I can't believe it, because I think the same way with us. Like, you know, if we lost to, you know, knock on wood here, but like if we lost to Quadrant next event, I wouldn't be like, wow, how'd that happen? Like, it's like, I know how it happened. They play better than us.
Yeah,
you know,
I completely agree with you.
Doesn't mean that there's something hugely. I mean, we're just coming off 2 back-to-back wins, right? There's not a huge issue. No, but it could be the smallest of. Yeah. You know. Yeah, it's a game of inches, you know?
Yeah, I think there's just going to be a lot of people who are surprised that it's not like they didn't get top 3. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's where some of the concerns are going to come from. That being said, though, and I'm just saying what the concerns are, that being said, I also agree with you. Yeah. I think the level of competition is so high that one tiny slip up, one decision that went in the wrong way or the wrong favor is going to cost you. And it does in Halo Infinite. It really does. It costs you more than anything. It is a very snowbally type of title in game. And if you can't regain control against teams who are really, really good with control, you're gonna mess up, and it's gonna be so difficult to get back. And not to mention just game types and how that favors you. And there's all sorts of small things that go into it that really build in a bigger way and have such a huge factor to it. So like if I, you know, looking at OpTic right now, if you're going to ask me, like, should you make a change? No. Yeah. I would say absolutely not. People calling for APG's head, the dumbest take I've ever heard in my life. APG does so much for that team, and it is, like, you don't even know the half of it. And you know that as a competitor. Yeah. You know what APG does for the team.
We're in similar roles, too.
You are in similar roles, and the thing is if everybody was a main slayer, it wouldn't bloody work, people. Yeah. Get over it. Not everyone is going to, like, just to let you know, APG can slay easy. Yeah. I know he can. All he has to do is say, yo, switch with me. Like, you do what I do, and I'll do what you do. And he can do it. Like, don't get me, he can. Well, but it's just, like, I just can't stand it when people who are uneducated on Halo Infinite comment and call for people's heads and careers over things that they are just completely clinically wrong about.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it before in terms of Twitch chat and how it gets very like scapegoaty, negative.
Yes.
One person makes a comment, people start jumping on that.
So dumb.
APG is very much has been that guy where like, okay, he has a bad game and someone jumps on him and then Twitch chat starts trolling and it's this never ending cycle. The reason why you can just disprove everyone of like how dumb it is because like he played really good this month.
Yeah, I know.
He had some of the best stats against Quadrant. Like they lost. Like I know. But like he's not happy about that. He doesn't care. He doesn't care one bit about his stats. None of them are like sitting there like looking at
their stats,
statistics, going, "Oh, we lost because of this." It's just not the way it works.
God, I had 1,000 less damage than this person. Damn it. No.
Exactly. And so the thing with like APG, and you know, I don't want to stay on it too long about APG because it's just nonsense.
No, I just think it's silly. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's
being talked about. So like, I want to give our opinions on it. I just think it's dumb. Period.
Every team is going to have people that people look to blame.
Oh yeah, you are one of them.
Yeah, I know.
People
that's what
love blaming you.
Yeah.
You guys do like the tiniest thing. Like you go like, you are the scapegoat. Like every time. Yeah. But this what's so funny about people in your role, and Eco has the same thing as well. Funny enough, like obviously Eco's had outstanding performances, same as you have the past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But you are always a scapegoat because of your role. Because your role is not flashy. Your role is very brain heavy, tactical orientated, smart. Like that is your role. Yeah. Is to do things that make a big difference and shift the game. Yeah. Based on what your slayers are also doing to make room. Like it works in tandem, but people forget it.
Holding positions and blocking spawns and rotating and
there's like you guys
entry fragging.
That's how I would say. You guys are the multitaskers of your team. Yeah. That is what I would say. And it is so difficult to be that. So the fact that I just hate how it is such an apparent thing that the multitaskers of the team, your Ecos, your Snakebites, your APGs, your freaking Tusks, your freaking whoever else you wanna name, they are just constantly always the scapegoats, and it's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard because it is just so stupid. Yeah, it just is.
Just, you know, especially in Halo, it's interesting because like I've said it before, but especially in Halo Infinite, it's it's a slippery slope, those statistics. You know, I
I
start
know.
game one, we're on, you know, you're on streets ball, you start the round, you get rocketed. Then the next life, I kill the ball guy, but I have to rotate it out, I die. The next life, obviously, they have the ball now because I died and had to play it out. Now I need to run up to their setup and eat a shotgun to the face. Then the next life, I'm spawn trapped because they just killed all of us trying to break. Now I'm 1-4. You know what I mean? It's like it just goes that quickly.
I know,
you
exactly.
know?
But it's just like that. But what I think a lot of fans and viewers won't realize until it starts to click for a lot of people, and it might take a lot of time, who knows, right? Until people really start dissecting certain things, like in sports, right? Is that 1-4 has stopped the bleeding so much.
Yeah.
Like, and that it would be way worse in terms of the scoreline, in terms of what would be actually happening on the map. Like, that is everything to the game. It's like, it's stopping the game from spiraling out of control. Yeah. I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. And it's hard because, you know, you see that from fans and you think, God, you really honestly have no idea. Yeah. And it is frustrating. It's something that I always have to take with a pinch of salt, and it's something I try to educate people on. And on the desk, I think we do a good job of that. And like, yes, we always will look at stats. Stats are something that are extremely apparent, but they're an indication. Yeah. They're an indication of a much bigger thing, something much larger. And that's why we have damage reports now as well. We have damage dealt, damage taken. So that gives us an even bigger indication of what a said person has been doing. You know, there's just so much more to it than the numbers. Yeah. I mean, and like just going, you know, like I said, we'll jump past this, but it's like, then you just throw in the fact that like, hey, like I'm probably not the guy that, like I'm not grabbing the Stalker over Royal 2 or Renegade. You know, if it's up, I grab it. But like for the most part, the starting shot, let's go starting shot wise, right? Like I'm not the one grabbing it. You know what I mean? So when you throw those things in, and then everything else we've already talked about, and then, you know, it's like, you're not getting the shotguns, you're not getting the Stalker. Like, look at like a Aqua TS, right? Yeah. The thrust is like guaranteed kills. I ain't getting the thrust at the start of the game. You know, I'm just, you know, I can go get it at some point, but everything is relative. Yeah. Everything is team based. That's not like making an excuse for myself. It's just the way that the game goes, and the way that teams go, and the way that, you know, your bait and switches go. It's like you said, it's hard. It's hard because people are always going to look for scapegoats. Obviously, everyone wants to play at the highest level possible. Of course. And if you have a rough series, like, look, if I have a rough series, I'm not happy about it. But for the most part, I've always said that, like, if I have a bad series, it's like usually something team based that we're doing significantly wrong, that I'm not, that is making me feel like I'm not playing to the best of my ability. It's not usually like my thumbs didn't stop working, you know? Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because it's not your role. It's just not what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. And you could just say that, I think, for everyone. Yeah. You know, there is a person, there is a scapegoat on every single team. They often have the exact same role. John had the best quote, I thought, of the weekend. Probably not the best quote of the weekend, but that's something I love that he said. Whereas it's on my turn. Blaze asked him, like, how'd you feel like you played in pool play? And John said, like, yeah, you know, I didn't really feel like I played my best, but I'm just trying to be a good teammate. You know, it's just not my turn. Like, my teammates are going off. Like, I just need to accept, like, he said, I just need to accept that. And it's you know, for John, that's like, he's such a high slayer that's like him going like even. You know what I mean? Like his like, oh, I played bad is like, he might have gone even. On 2 pause. Yeah. He might have got like 1.1 instead of like 1.3. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like, yeah, I mean, you know, and that's the hard thing. But that's life. It is what it is. You know, everyone's a critic. What are you gonna do? Yeah. No, exactly. It's just such an interesting conversation because it's something that occurs all the time. It's always spoken about. I think the issue is in gaming, we're just such a tight knit community. Yeah. Where it gets back to people a lot and stuff like that. Because like in the NFL, like I might call if I'm watching Sunday Night Football, I might, you know, I it's so dumb as a comparison, but like I might watch a running back and I might say, oh God, like I don't like that running back. You know, like I don't like, why are you handing him the ball? You know? Oh, no. And it's like, but I'm saying to like my TV, not like in a chat where everyone's going to read it and then pile onto it. And then, you know, it's just, and then obviously for gamers, you're going back and watching rebroadcasts to look at your VOD. To look at your VOD. I mean, you don't want to look at chat, but obviously everyone, I mean, I get sent things that people say about me. You know what I mean? Right. Like I'll just see a message there and it's like, I don't want to go,
purposely go look, but obviously it's hard to disconnect.
It's very hard to disconnect, and it's a very, very cruel place.
Yeah.
Without question, it's not very nice.
But OpTic, I think OpTic will. I mean, they're always gonna be tough. You know, I think they'll bounce back. But honestly, it's like when I say that, it's a game of inches, like we keep saying. So they could bounce back. They can win the next event.
I don't 100%. I don't. There's no question about it.
Even when they lose and are in top 6, I'm not like, oh well, they're not gonna. Oh, wow, don't gotta worry about them anymore.
They've lost their touch. I think it's just more than they're gonna have to rethink a few things and go back to potentially new strats, new ways to adapt, figuring out what they have to do to stay one step ahead again.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. I mean, it happens to every single team. You're going to regress at a certain point. Like you said, it's inevitable. It's impossible to win everything. It's just about how you then take that information and that experience and then grow, right? Yeah. And I think they are more than capable of doing that. We saw it in the first year. I think
they've already been doing it.
Exactly.
Their results might not show it, but I think they
100%
yeah.
have. I do want to quickly, because we're actually running out of time a little bit here, talk about some of the other teams that were just so freaking good, and we'll kind of get through it really quickly. Yeah. So let's start with Quadrant. I mean,
demons.
Allez.
Yeah.
Like très bien. Bonjour.
You speaking French?
Yeah. I just said like let's go, and then I said fantastic, and then hello.
That's cute.
But incredible. Just just honestly outstanding. Not just history once, but twice. Yeah. Something that I did think was really cool about Quadrant as well, that really reminded me of you guys. They had their moment where they celebrated on stage. SLG is very much like you. SLG does not move. He does not crack a smile. He cracked a little smile, but barely.
He's been around a long time.
Seeker's going nuts. We love that. Legend's going nuts. We love that. The coach is going crazy. We love that.
The new guys.
The new guys are going nuts. But we kind of love that, right?
Yeah.
Making me all emotional. Sheds all emotional.
Made me emotional.
You know, but
a little bit I have.
Really interesting to see that SLG, who's been around a long time, has waited a long time for this, and his reaction to the top 4 was very much like, we're not finished yet. I don't know why we're celebrating, kind of thing. It was just interesting to see the kind of similarity between you and him in that reaction. Locked in, right? Icy as hell, like, hey, we're not done. What did they then do? Go on to get top 3. I mean, you know, from your standpoint, watching European rosters come in and out of any, events for the whole of your career, you know, what's different about Quadrant? Like, what is so special about them?
I mean, honestly, it's tough to answer because I don't have the full insight for them, like in terms of like how European Halo's kind of gone. I mean, from my perspective, I just think, you know, I said it back in KC, like we played against them and I was like, damn, that's a little different. Like, I don't know. Like I've played against European players and rosters a really long time. Yeah. Obviously they weren't the same roster. But you know, you had Ascend who's doing really well and Quadrant who are doing really well. I mean, even Navi put up a battle against us every time. But when they formed, it was basically like taking the 2 best. It was taking the best from Quadrant and pretty much the best from Ascend. I don't want to say the best in terms of like the other players are on those rosters were obviously are equally incredible, but you know what I'm saying, like they had been trying to form that team for a while.
They had that's the team that they had set their eyes on, not just language wise, but just friendship, synergy,
exactly,
talent.
So when I hear all those things, I'm like, that's the best that they're gonna get, like the best roster that they're gonna form for all those reasons. Not individual
everything
play.
Just works.
Exactly.
Yes.
I put a tweet out to them last event. And I said it again this event. I even said it to him. I saw him at a bar. It was like, you know, literally, it's like it's genuinely inspirational. I don't have many things that like fire me up these days.
That was firing you up,
yeah. Like when they were, you know, like last event, I was like, man, that is so like they've just been battling. And to see it come through, it's like, damn. You know, we talk about it from our team. We're like, look at what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, let's. Like,
it was cool to actually watch them each event closer to it, and then suddenly just absolutely blast it open, do it twice and then top 3, just absolutely incredible. Like the third play, like that is.
I'm a Halo fan
so
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know.
And it's like, I'm a competitor, but like I'm a fan. So like when I
love
see
how
stuff
that
like
chokes
that.
me up on the desk, not you winning, but them breaking like top 4.
It was sick as interview,
Oh
man.
my
I was
God.
like, you could tell how much it means to him. And,
I know.
It's been a long time coming. Obviously with us, like it means a lot to us, but it's just a little different.
I think it just means a lot to the scene.
Yeah.
It's not, it's just so much bigger than just
proving
like
something.
everything.
Something.
It really does prove something. And it was
with
incredible.
NA and us winning. It's like we said, there's that expectation.
Yes.
Now they're gonna have that. They
certainly
have
will.
that expectation now. But to make history 2 times in a row, from a team perspective, it really fired me up. Really, really happy for those guys. I don't know them too well. I only know them a little bit. There's a language barrier there, a little bit of a language barrier. I don't get to go hang out in France. But they seem like all really good dudes, and just really, really happy for them. Really proud of them. That's awesome.
I love it. I want to talk about Sentinels as well. So Sentinels, obviously. Sen City, bringing in obviously Booba and Fal. And they are, there's 3 of them that won an MCC event, Reach, right?
Yep,
Reach, but with Ace and Lethal, obviously, on the team rather than Ace, but 3/4 of the team.
Yeah.
Clearly something's clicking. They've had 3 weeks together, and the fact that they finished where they did, it's pretty outstanding. I think they were looking really good.
Yeah.
I definitely had concerns about how the team would kind of pace on the maps and like Halo Infinite, and like how that would kind of transfer into the competition. But I was really impressed. I feel like they had really good pacing. I think Spawn is definitely looking more comfortable in being able to kind of do what he wants to do.
You wouldn't necessarily know it per se. I mean, like, you can kind of know it, but like obviously I got a little more of like the behind the scenes stuff. Their pacing for me, I knew that they were going to be really good when they formed, because they very much look at Halo in a similar light.
Right.
And so you said, you could tell Tyler looked comfy.
Yeah,
he looked
he did.
really comfortable up there. TJ was playing lights out. They're all making plays.
TJ's playing so damn well.
I feel like he's been kind of playing really well. He's for like I always said, like
since the change, he's been playing great.
Even before we made our roster change, like he really was like playing some big time.
He hasn't stepped off the gas.
No, he hasn't. He's been playing lights out. But I think people were looking at Spartan a lot. People were like, and it's only because like he was going from being a top of the KD leaderboard kind of person on United to like, not like he's getting outslayed or playing bad, but like he just wasn't putting up the same big numbers.
Exactly.
And it's like you said, it's like people were like, okay, like obviously his skill isn't gone. It's a team thing. But this event in particular,
he looked so comfy.
He was hitting shots and barking, and
he was screaming.
Yeah,
it was great,
it was really
and that's
cool
what we'd like to see. Yeah, it was really, really cool, and obviously they're only going to get better. 3 weeks of practice.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that's really impressive too.
Yeah,
short period of time.
Very short period of time. And I think there's something to be said about the chemistry. Like the team chem there is like obviously still there, still looking good. I think Lethal can get on with anybody. So he just fits right in.
It's one of his best attributes.
He's one of the GOATs. So like, I think to me that's a recipe for success. I'm excited to see how that continues to grow, and how they like kind of progress forward, because I think that's the next big question is, how much better can they get, right? It's just, it's obviously hard talking to you about stuff like this because, you're a competitor to them.
Yeah.
But
I think they're capable. I mean, the way that I always look at it, and it's like cliche to say, they're capable of winning.
Yeah.
Like literally.
No,
100%. Like
I haven't said that about Sentinels yet.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean? Like I haven't thought it.
With a roster that they formed, obviously heading into Charlotte, like they just didn't seem comfortable with each other.
It just didn't work.
They had their moments, but it wasn't like online was a big struggle with all the online stuff that everyone deals with. But with them in particular, they just they played a lot better on LAN. You know, they got top 6 of the first one. This event now, they're back and they can win. It's cliche because you're like, oh, everyone can win, but like the way that I look at it is like I know OpTic are capable of winning. Quadrant. Are super capable of winning. They've beat OpTic twice now. So it's like, hey, well, Quadrant's capable of winning. And then with Sen, they beat Quadrant the first time they played. And then the second time they played, they lost 3-1, but it was all really winnable games where like now you're looking at Sen going, ooh, wow, they're like super, again, like they're really capable of doing this. Just now it's just put in the work that they're gonna have to do to tighten up a few things and get ready for the next one.
Yeah, they certainly will.
But
indeed.
Super happy for them. I love Sen, I love Tej. They put together a great roster, and like I said, 3 weeks, top 4. I mean, that's tough to do.
I know. It's really, really tough to do. I mean, we're running out of time here, so I think next week we'll talk about some of the open bracket teams that came forward as well, because they were super impressive, and I want to take some time to actually like break those down and talk about some of like the rising stars and the up and comers, and I also want to talk about G1 a bit as well, and there's a lot to kind of talk about. But to round this off and to bring it back around, I kind of want to go back to something that Renegade said in the FaZe documentary that came out while we were there at the weekend. And I love that he said, I want to be a dominant team. I want a 4-0 in the finals.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to try.
Yeah.
And I just love how full circle.
Yeah.
Like, I love full circle moments. I live
it's
for
a cool
them as a broadcaster.
It's a cool moment.
Such a cool moment to hear that. Did he, I don't know, like, when it happened, did he know that he had said that? Did he remember that he had said that before? Was there, like, do you know what I mean? Because, like, if it was me, that really stuck in my head, and I'd be like, John, you did it.
No, we didn't say anything like that. It's something that we talk about a lot. So it's not like he said it in the doc, and he said, he basically said he's happy about winning, but he wants to be a team that is dominant and wants to 4-0 teams in the finals. It wasn't something that we were like, oh dude, we did it or anything like that, because we got a long way to go. We got many more events. We got to keep trying to do it. It was cool closing out 4-0 in the finals just because of how much we've actually talked about that a lot. Like, we want, and it's because like it's very easy for us. I shouldn't say it's easy because it's not, but it's like it would be easy with how talented I think our group is to skate by and not put in as much work as we do. But that end goal of closing teams out in the finals and really putting a stamp on a win is something we're striving to really get as many times as possible. So that's just it's a big focus for us. I'm
sure it is a massive focus,
I think
especially because of the way that you
team.
win series. You have been winning series coming down to the wire in mostly game 5s. And when I say mostly game 5s, I'm talking away from pool play and sometimes in pool play.
Yeah.
But like, I know majority of your games are being won handedly. However, there are close calls. And I think close calls for teams who are winning LAN events are always sometimes, I think, goal inspiring to win in better ways, right? What's the shift for you guys from the winners finals being an absolute grueling battle of like reverse sweep? Couldn't believe it. I am having miniature heart attacks watching. And then in the finals, I'm just like chilling, walking around saying hi to everyone, just chilling. Like you have me on a sun lounger. Where was the switch? Where is the change? Does it really come down to like game types? Like, how on earth can you go from a winners finals like that to a grand finals where it's just
I think it's 3 things.
Looking great.
Yeah, I think it's 3 things. The first one is SSG are just so damn good.
Yes, they are.
We're in the winners finals with them. They were playing lights out. It's going to be difficult. So that's the first thing. The first thing is just credit to them for being as talented and as ridiculous as they are.
Yeah.
The second thing is going to be the play style that they were playing us in.
Mm-hmm.
I won't reveal too much because we got to do our thing. But they played a little bit of a different style on us that I think we were necessarily prepared for.
Okay.
And I shouldn't say prepared for, but like it caught us off guard. Like we view them as like the super aggressive team, running forward at you all the time. And definitely in like, say like game 2 on the Street Slayer, like it didn't feel that way. Right.
Yeah.
So we, I think in turn changed our style, like going forward in the finals and stuff like that. And I think that definitely was a big impact and a big improvement for us. So that would be the second thing, is just play styles and adapting. And then the third thing is definitely game types.
Yeah.
No discredit to SSG at all, because I can't speak any more highly of how I view those guys. Look, it's no secret Live Fire Strongholds is probably our worst strongholds. Recharge got taken out, so we were only on Live Fire and only on Streets.
Yeah.
Street Slayer is kind of a coin toss for us. I think it's a really good game type for us, but still a little bit of a coin toss. I think it is for everybody. Like Street Slayer, it's just kind of that way. If you get the rockets,
it very much is that way. You're right.
It's hard to be like undefeated on a street.
Toss.
Yeah, it's a little. It's just because it's because we gotta go watch that after this. I think you could be really good on it, but you get what I'm saying. It's just like if you get the rockets and this and that, like you can kind of. It's hard to be like lights out on it, you know. Maybe other people disagree with me on that. That's just how I feel about the Slayer on that in particular.
Yeah.
But then you go to the finals, and we had Livefire King, which is like it's probably our best king.
Right.
Streets King is probably second, and then like Recharge would be third for us, probably. I think. Aqua Slayer, probably our best Slayer. Game 3, Street Stronghold, our best Stronghold. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right. It just kind of worked out.
It worked out. Like, we saw those game types and we're like, ooh, Winners Finals is going to be really challenging. I don't know if you already
said this if I had just switched off, but Winners Finals, you had 4 of the 5 maps. Well, obviously taking Recharge out, but take 3 was going to be 4. Yeah. That could have changed everything.
Yeah.
But 3 of the 5 games that you lost in the previous event. Yeah. Of the only maps and modes.
Yeah. So it was the game types.
Like kind of nuts.
It was 4 going into the tournament. It was 4 of 5 game types that we had lost on Sunday.
That's like wild to me.
We were like excited about it because we're like,
you guys are crazy.
Well, because we have been working so hard on it. Yeah, like, so where we're like,
you work on your mistakes. Yeah, so exactly. Actually, if you're prepared for anything, so it's like, more of the mistakes than the wins.
Absolutely. So we're like, okay, like in some regards, does it suck because you're not playing like Street Stronghold Game 1, which is like one of our best? Like, yeah, of course. But at the same time, like we put a lot of work in. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, you know, and and the cool thing is, even though it turned into a freaking grueler, but like Argyle, the game that we lost to them, Game 1 of the Winners Finals last tournament, we worked on it a lot. We were up 2-0. We were playing it really well. They just are them and battled back, but we won it in OT, and it's like that's literally the difference to us getting 3-0'd.
Yeah.
Like if we don't fix that mistake, we get 3-0'd.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If Recharge Ball was still in, you just never know. The last time we played Recharge Ball against them and went to round 3, you can win it, you can lose it. Same thing as Streets Ball. Like we've beaten them on Streets Ball twice, but like they're not exactly dominant. It's not a dominant fashion, is it? You know what I mean?
I do feel like though when listening, like when we do get a chance to listen to your comms, especially in the documentary that will be coming out based on this event, I bet you guys are just locked in. I bet you Brad's screaming.
Yeah.
I bet it's noisy. I bet the comms are great. Like it was weird that people were thinking that your comms are all dead weird and like too fast and too this, and like they don't actually have a clue. But that is perfectly.
Our comms were
perfect.
So dialed in.
I know, so dialed, so perfect. Yeah. I can't explain. Like I'm not gonna. We'll dive into that maybe next week.
Time, yeah.
But like those are such great comms. Like I know that when I hear that, if I go to a listening and I hear that, I am chilling. Yeah. I'm going. It's it. We're good. Yeah. Because that is the exact team comms and the exact team that I want to be seeing in a finals. That is terrifying to play against when you are vibing like that. It's just
because of different styles. You know what I mean? Like OpTic and SSG, I think, have a little bit more of
OpTic's very
they're
chill.
They're very chill.
Very chill.
Yeah. And I think it's same thing, honestly, it's the same exact thing as SSG. To where I think that when people hear us, they think that it's like frantic.
I think OpTic have to be a little bit chill because Lunchbox speaks a lot more than other coaches do.
Yeah, he definitely does.
So there's an added voice in there. So when there is an added voice in there, you don't want it becoming so hectic and overpowering when there's a fifth voice. But Lunchbox speaks a lot. So you know, but that's just how they work. And that's how they organize themselves, and it has worked very many times.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna end it here because there's a lot to talk about, and we are.
I did snap. Your snap
I did just snap.
Shook the table.
Sorry.
What the hell? Is that Thanos?
And I'm worried that the battery of our recorder is going to run out. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in. We appreciate you so much. Please tell us your thoughts, opinions. If you went to the event, tell us your favorite moment. You know, just talk to us. We literally love reading the comments and seeing what you guys are saying. Pray for PJ. Pray he gets better soon because Mans is really struggling over here with
I'll be all right.
The post-event sickness. But I also want to give a massive shout out to OpTic for putting on such an incredible major. The production team that I work with, Corey Dunn, and all of those guys there, absolutely incredible at Esport Arena, Arlington. So thank you so much to them. Thank you to Halo. Thank you to you guys. We love you so much. Thank you so much for your support. What coffee is fantastic. If you guys do want to go try what I've been drinking, 10 out of 10. It's so good. But yeah, thank you so much for watching / listening. We love you. And as always,
stay on the grind.